Alright guys, what's going on? Today is gonna be rocking. I'm gonna teach you how to rock out with T-steps, and I'm gonna explain a little bit what rocking is. There's a few different interpretations, but I just want you to know that rocking, if you ever hear the term rocking or rocking out, it is the same thing as Melbourne Shuffle. It's the same dance. So, to some it is considered a certain style, and in certain countries people definitely look a certain way when they do this particular, like, we can call it style, but this is you know, the original Melbourne Shuffle, and so not to get it confused, because I've had my fair share of like whoops, like called it something and it wasn't that, or you know, or the other. So I'm gonna do my best to break it down, but just take it with a grain of salt, and you'll hear definitions from other people, and but I'm gonna do my best to break it down. Okay. So before we get started again, make sure you have some space for this, because it can be, I use this to travel very far, or you can stay very tight with it. Back in the day, like in the clubs, the venues, the raves, they would often do this in a very like tight, or like more concealed, not concealed, just a smaller area. When you rock out, or when you do the Melbourne Shuffle, remember, the running man came later, okay? It was, when we're talking strictly Melbourne Shuffle, it was originally T-step based, okay? And a lot of people seem to forget that the T-step came first, okay? The running man came later, all right? So when they were rocking out, they were using, remember, it's heavy T-step based. So, okay, they're rocking out, okay? Some people like to think of rocking as like rocking back left and back and forth. You can think of that, but just know that, or like the rocker style, it's a certain look. When you get this look like this, okay? But also know that rocking was also like rocking out at the show, like rockers, like rock and roll at these shows in Melbourne and Sydney back in the day. But it also, it is a lifestyle. It is a, you know, I mean, it's a way of life. But the whole Melbourne Shuffle, like everything I've taught you up till now, is solely the T-step, solely the running man, solely kicks, spins, glides, slides, okay? And before we put everything together, we need to learn how to, I'm gonna say, rock. We need to learn how to rock out. My analogy to my students, is how I put it, is when you're rocking out with these T-steps, and there's no set combination, although I will give you a couple of combinations that you can play with, but I want you to experiment on your own, okay? When you're rocking out with your T-steps and you get in this desired look, okay, when you're going back and forth, okay, how I explain it to my students is, imagine that's kind of like your base to the dance. You have the T-steps, okay? It's like your planets going around the sun. You're on this, I I like to use like a figure 8, like a pattern. Some people like to call it a half moon. Some people like to think of it as like a windshield wiper motion. I like to think of it as like a figure 8. That's what was passed down to me, and that's what works. That's what works really well. So once you get this infinity sign down, or this figure 8 pattern of where you're T-stepping back and forth on both sides, because when you think about it, music is universal, okay? Either 2, 4, 6, or 8 counts, okay? Every song, all over the world uses will mostly be 8 counts per bar, per measure. A bar or a measure is in each. That's what you get in. Well, that's what it is. Each bar of music, like if you looked at it on paper, would be 1 to like 8 notes. And sometimes you might have songs that will be like an uneven number. They might have like 3. They might have like 3 beats, or like 5 or 7. But generally, most songs are going to be even tempos and around 8 counts, okay? I try to explain this the best I could. I did take percussion when I was younger, so I know a little bit about music. Staying on beat, having rhythm and all that, which I will also be going over those as well, but not to get off topic, but the reason why I brought that up is because usually I do either 3 to 4 counts per side. You don't just want to like stay on one side, right, and just keep doing your T-step. No, you want to move back and forth with it. You want to flow with it, okay? You want to go back and forth. Of course, like I said, there is no set amount. However, when I personally go to the music, sometimes I like to follow the beat, and I like to do maybe 3 counts, making it a 6 count, maybe 3 T-steps over here, 3 T-steps over here. Sometimes maybe I'll do 4 and 4 T-steps to make it look good, to follow along with the music. Or sometimes I'll forget about counting, like on purpose, and I'll just do as many T-steps as I want over here, and I'll just be all over the place. As long as you can make your rocking, okay, and your T-stepping flow to the music, you're fine, okay? That's kind of my definition on that. So once you get this figure 8 pattern down, or whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to come up with, after you get that pattern down of getting this movement down, okay, if you watch a lot of my videos, a lot of like OG Shuffle videos back in the day, you'll notice they're rocking, they're T-stepping back and forth, okay? So once you get that down, that's like a fundamental movement. Once you get that down, then you can start adding in Running Man. Then you can start adding in tricks. You can start adding in your spins, your slides, glides. All the fundamentals basically, okay? And when you're rocking out, it's never just T-steps, okay? If you like, the entirety of the dance is all the fundamentals, remember, okay? So if you ever tell someone like, hey, this is rocking, that's wrong. Rocking out is all the fundamentals of the Melbourne Shuffle together, okay? That's the best way that I can explain it, as I've had it explained to me, and I'm sure there's going to be maybe a few of you in the comments. Feel free to chime in and tell me what your perspective on rocking is, or what you think it is, or because I know there's a lot of different interpretations out there, but I feel this is pretty spot on what I'm saying. And I know, because I've had people critique me in the past, I've had people tell me like, you know, that is not rocking. If you're just doing solely T-step, to call it rocking or to, you know, to say someone's doing it wrong, first of all, like, check your ego, okay? You can do whatever you want, but just make sure if you're showing someone this dance, make sure you show them all the fundamentals, and make sure you add in all the fundamentals of this dance. I'm not going to be doing the everything what we learned right now. I'm just going to be teaching you how to rock with your T-steps, okay? Then I'm going to be doing it with solely music, next video. And then the video after that, then I will be adding all the fundamentals together to make it the Melbourne Shuffle, okay, rocking. I know there's beginners watching this, so I want to do it piece by piece by piece by piece. I wish, you know, there's a lot of people that did videos back in the day, but I didn't know about those when I first started, you know, so that would have helped. So that's why, you know, I'm taking the initiative now for my generation, showing you guys from my perspective, but staying close to the roots, you know, giving props and respect to the OGs that have helped me, such as like Gara, Francis, you know, a lot of people from the Cali scene, a lot of people from the Arizona scene as well, and even some people from the East Coast. Basically, the shuffle community. So that is the plan. So we're going to begin. So if you've come this far, right? You already know how to do T-step, right? Okay. T-step right, T-step left. I showed you the reverse T-step, okay, where you go against the grain, as I like to call it. You're going against the foot, okay. When you rock out with your T-steps, okay, it's a lot of reverse T-step also. And let me show you why. Is because when you're not just going in a straight line. Usually the goal is, from what I've been passed down, and also according to like just how good it looks, you want to usually have your back turned to each side. Okay? And when you T-step back the other way, or when you kick out, you don't always have to come in contact with the ground. I'll go over that as well. You want your back facing the other way as well, okay? Okay, so notice, reverse T-step, watch my feet. See me how I'm going against? I am tracing this imaginary figure 8 in my head to the best of my ability. You will get better over time as you do this. And sometimes you might change it up a little bit. It might look a little different, but this is what I do. I trace this figure 8, okay? Imagine I'm on a figure 8 right now. Just kind of trace it with your mind, your eyes, or your finger. I'm pushing back right now against this loop, the infinity sign, okay? When I get back to the center, which is what you're seeing right now, I'm going to switch sides, and now I'm going to T-step, I'm going to back, reverse, I'm going to reverse back to this other side of the figure 8, this other, you know, that other like half side of the figure 8, the circle, and then I'm going around that loop. Now I'm back at the center again, right? Picking up, okay? Okay, and then eventually you start looking like this. Back is to the wall. Your head is looking left and right. These are some tips and like tricks that I do and that I've learned. Okay, it creates that illusion that you're maybe, you know, gliding. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is the illusion. So, how to get into that, okay? I want you to practice a drill. Take a straight line on the floor, wherever. And I want you to practice, there's something called micro hops, or micro bounces. This is something that wasn't really a thing back in the day. They just taught you, they just learned how to T-step, but the dance has like progressed. There is now terminology that is used to express or better like interpret the dance and what we're doing. Okay, so there's a couple things you can do here. Okay, so the first drill, I want you to practice getting your speed down and to practice, you know, going back and forth. I want you to practice hopping, or they call this micro bouncing. Just practice going in a straight line for now, and you practice turning your body and switch on the other foot. Okay? Now you see how I'm hopping like this slightly? It's a little bit of a hop and a slide, which is fine. Okay? So practice this until you get pretty comfortable with it. Okay? Alright? And try and go in a figure 8. And you can try and switch at the sides or about where you would switch in the middle. Okay? So right now I'm doing a figure 8. But I want you guys, the beginners, to just go in a straight line for now, just to practice getting it down, because it's very difficult at first and you're not used to it, okay? So I want you to practice this, and you'll notice after like a few weeks, you'll notice your speed goes way up just from hopping back and forth. Because if you actually look at the Melbourne Shuffle in like old school documentaries, or just like OG Shufflers then and now, you're going to see them moving back and forth like this. You're going to see when you're actually doing the dance, you should be kind of micro bouncing back and forth. Like I said, back in the day, it was very like, they were very like restricted, you could say. Not that they didn't have space, but like from the videos that I've seen, the stories that I've been told, and you would see them in the club, they had, you know, maybe a square of space. So they would just, okay, they had to work with what they had. And then of course, if you were obviously outside of the club or the venue, yeah, that's a different story. You can spread this out. I like to go wide with it. Okay. Oh, it's slippery. I have some different shoes on, so because my other ones would squeak. So you can go as wide with it as you want, which if you're dancing to a faster song, you're going to have a more tighter rock, as I like to call it. If you're going to if you're going to be dancing to a slower song, which I dance to a lot of slower BPM stuff, it allows me to open up more and go wider with it. And of course, with practice and lots of training, you could go a little bit farther as well, as much as you can manage or handle to a faster BPM too. This is just from my experience. So play around with the play around having like a tighter rock, okay, and play around with a more wider, maybe flowier. I like to call it a more flowier rock, where you really get to open up. See my back, my shoulder is turning. Sometimes you might turn all the way around. That's okay. Sometimes you might turn around like that, and you might do a spin, and you might go back into it. And that's okay. I've seen people do really cool tricks and spins like that. But for now, if you're new watching this, I want you to practice with the micro hops, okay? So you can micro hop or micro bounce. We'll just stick to micro bouncing from now, okay? I don't want to keep switching the words, the vocabulary, but you can either micro bounce or you can do dramatic T-steps. Now, What is like a dramatic T-step? A dramatic T-step, how I explain to people, is when your T-steps are really wide opening like this, okay? Now, kind of notice the difference here. Okay, if you were able to tell, for that demo right there, I was using very wide or very dramatic T-steps, as I like to call them. I wasn't doing much of the micro bouncing, okay? You can play with the two, see what you like better. Sometimes you might add a little bit of both. Sometimes you might just do the micro bouncing. Sometimes you might just like doing dramatic T-steps. You gotta remember, this dance is, well, primarily T-step. That is the foundation of the dance. Remember, when you open your foot nice and wide like that, you know, I like displaying a nice dramatic T-step. I've talked to some people that don't like doing that, and I'm like, I mean, you do you, but I like displaying a heavy T-step, a nice dramatic heavy T-step, because that's what the dance is all about, you know? How are you gonna do a dance and you're not even gonna display the T-step, you know? Who am I to judge someone, you know? I can't do that. But again, it's a freestyle dance. It has changed a little bit and evolved, and like I said, it's got some new like terminology and like vocabulary now, and I'm just here to, you know, share it with you and show you, you know, a few different ways that you can do it. Let me try it now with the micro bouncing again, like more tighter, okay? Okay, so it might be kind of hard to tell, but I was doing less dramatic T-step, and I was trying to bounce with it more, okay? A lot of people might say this is wrong too, but guess what? I'm sharing both ways because that's how I was taught, and I've even heard OGs talk about micro bouncing, and I have one here in Arizona that has showed me, and on him it looks really good. And you know, there's different ways to rock. There's different ways to do Running Man. Okay, there's always going to be, people are always going to have a little bit different way. When I notice when I do my wider rock like this, you can look at my feet. You see that? I'm definitely micro bouncing, okay? Because I'm using that hop to help me travel in that figure eight. When I do it with a tighter one, I don't really do it too much because if I'm staying tighter, me personally, I like using my T-steps, my dramatic T-steps, where I really open the door or open the gate, however you want to visualize it. When I'm tight, I like to really show off how dramatic my T-steps are, okay? So that's just me. When I go wide, I will micro bounce. When I do a more tighter rock, tighter space, I will just T-step heavily or dramatic, okay? I like making it look dramatic. I like that effect, you know. I remember in the beginning, I would see people like really open their foot, and I just remember thinking like, man, I can't wait to get my style looking like that, you know. And now I do, you know. It's a good feeling, you know. And from my experience, when I do these wide T-steps, it also helps me open up even more to so I can have my back open even farther, me personally. And it's just it helps me travel. It helps me travel, but not to knock on the other version as well, like the micro bounces. What I want you guys to do is experiment with the micro bouncing, okay? And I want you to watch my videos, and I want you to watch other shufflers' videos. I want you to get other definitions. I want you to see how other people do this, and see if maybe you can take what they said, what I said, mesh it together, you know, or maybe whatever you want, you know. It's a freestyle dance, remember that, okay? I taught you all the fundamentals now, okay? This is the last fundamental for now. And you know, the next couple of videos coming up will be everything together. We'll be adding everything together, okay? It's just right now, the reason why this is going to be a long video is because it's very important. There's a lot of layers to it, okay? So hopefully you've been, you know, paying attention, but I'm going to give you an easy way to switch sides, okay? People always ask, like, oh, what sequence? A sequence is when you do a T-step, like out here, and then switch. Okay, I usually do like a front, back, or a front, or a back, front, cross, switch, and then I would switch sides. But there's like an unlimited number. There's no set way to rock. There's no set way to, you know, they're called sequences. When I do these, when I do this, okay, there's no set way to do that. That just is a very like across the board sequence, that back, front, cross, switch. That's a very like across the board way to do it, and it makes it very simple. But remember, there's way more layers that you can add onto this. There's not just that one sequence. But it is something that I do tell you or beginners or my students, just so they can have something to go off of. But I tell them, experiment. Because as you go down the road, as you go down the rabbit hole, you will experiment more and more, and you'll do different things with your T-steps. So that's the best I can explain that. But, well, like I was saying, a very easy way for beginners right now to switch sides. I'm going to do it facing you, and then I'll do it facing the side, just to get you in the motion or the movement of, or get you into the practice of switching sides. Because I want your back to be facing both sides. Every time you switch, I want you to have this posture, okay? Because it gives you that look. And when you wear a hat, sometimes when you wear a jacket too, and you have everything on, it makes you look steezy. It makes you look really good. That's part of the dance too. Is you know, baggy clothing. I mean, dress the way you want to look, you know. But having a hat is also a big part of this dance. And I'll put that on in a little bit. But so the way that you can switch without doing sequences right now is literally, I just want you to take 2 front T-steps, right? Remember what a front T-step is, this, right? 1, 2, like that. I want you to just do 1, 2, and then come back to neutral, switch to the other side. 1, 2, okay? 1, 2, okay? 1, 2. Now sped up, it's gonna look like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. You can call it pause if you want, or switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. Let me do it from the side. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. I'm going to do it from the back. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Remember, T-step, normal T-step, this is my right, okay? Heel goes out when the foot goes out, okay? Doing 2 of those, out, or front, come back to center, switch, turn your body to the other side, and you're pivoting, you're turning your whole body. 1, 2, switch. Now, you're probably okay, so you're probably wondering, in the beginning, you're not doing really much movement because it's tough. It's tough to move with it left and right, you know, before you get your T-step. Because that's how you travel. A big part of this dance is how you travel is the T-step as well as the running man. But for right now, we're focusing on T-step. So, well, right now, I want you to get into the groove. I want to get you as a beginner moving. I want to get you rocking like as soon as possible, you know, or at least getting into that like the motion and the feeling of it. Because once you start to feel it, I had one of my students tell me just a couple days ago, like she was saying, she's like, yeah, like now I know what you mean. I feel like the groove part of it. And once you get the foundation down, that figure eight, if you will, or half moon, or whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to come up with it, that will be once you get that foundation down, then you start to groove with your rock, okay? And that's a whole different thing as well. Lots to go, okay? Lots to cover, but this is the building blocks right now, okay? So I want you'll get to the point. I'm going to do it sideways now again, so where you are, okay? You'll be able to go faster. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. And you'll notice all you're doing is this. You're just T-stepping on your heel. So you're just going. You're essentially just going like this for now. We're not actually traveling. We're kind of just rocking in place, if you will. Okay. So 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. Okay. Now this is just something I made up that I thought of one day to help get the point across to a student, and it seemed to have really good. Had a really good like reaction, or had a really good like outcome. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like doing this same thing, traveling with the T-step in my like pattern that I like to do, like the figure eight. Okay, so I'm still going to do the same thing. So front, switch, front, switch, front, switch, front, switch, front, switch, front. Okay? See that? Okay? So I'm moving with my back foot, which is my T-step. Because how do you move with a T-step? Like that. How do you move normal, going to the right, or, you know? You shift the weight from the heel to the toe to the heel to the toe, okay, like this. Okay? So, I'm telling you right now, because I know I was a beginner, this is how I think. I'm very like methodical and technical. When you are learning, do it the way I just showed you. Do it this way, where you go 1, 2, switch, 1, 2, switch. And then when you start to get like confident, you're like, pop, pop, pop. You're like, all right, I can start traveling now. I'm gonna bump it up. You know, start to let your foot go from the heel to the toe and pivot out and try traveling with it a little bit like this. So, see how I'm tracing that figure eight, or I'm just going in maybe a half moon, or okay, and I'm doing some reverse T-step. I'm pushing myself back, essentially is what I'm doing, but I'm also traveling. I'm traveling with this foot, with the pivoting foot, okay? So that's what I want you to, if you're a beginner, that's what I want you to just practice on for now. There's many different ways to teach us. Back in the day, as far as I know, it was just like, hey, here's the T-step, practice doing it like this. You know, as far as I know, I've never heard of any other way of how they taught it. There wasn't really a way to teach it. It was just like, hey, let's all get together at this club, show each other some moves, okay? But this dance, you got to remember, is still, you know, it's in its infancy, but it's, you know, it's 20 plus years old now, older than that, almost 30 plus. And it's, like I said, it's got vocabulary to it now. There's more that we added to the vernacular of it, okay? To the dictionary of this dance. So, be that as it may. So again, if you're a beginner, you know, shoot. Or maybe if you're intermediate, or maybe you're advanced and you're watching this, maybe maybe you'll think, oh, okay, that's a different way to learn it. We all learn differently. We all have different techniques. You know, if we all looked the same, we all taught the same, you know, what would we all look like? We'd all look the same, you know? So I like that we each have a different teaching style. And I think that's what makes us all unique, you know? Otherwise, we'd all look like robots. And we don't want to be robots. We don't want to look the same. We want to look unique. We want to look different. So figure out ways to tweak, make little tweaks, okay? So if you would like to do that sequence that I normally do, sometimes when I'm out at a rave or a club, whatever, a dance, sometimes I'll do the back, front. I call it cross or open. The reason why I call it open is because I'm opening myself or my hips or my legs to this left side, and then the switch would be this side, okay, or the middle. So let me break it down for you. We're just going to work on the left side right now. This is my left side right here. So it's going to be back, and every time you take a T-step, every time your foot comes down, you T-step with the other foot, okay? It's a pretty simple concept. So you T-step, that's back, front. Now, you see how I like to pivot and turn my body as much as I can. So when I started, I used to be like this. I used to be very square. You see how I'm barely turning my hips? Now when I rock out, I'm like boom, 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 boom. Sometimes I'll like come way back here, you know? Okay? Be as steezy and I like to think smooth, okay? That's how I like to rock out. I like to be smooth with it when I do my T-steps, okay? But these are things you don't know when you're a beginner. So, one of my OGs, his name's Kevin, love him. He would always say you know, open up your hips more. I was like, what do you mean, dude? You know? So, over time, you'll start to open up your hips more. You'll start to, instead of going like this, instead of looking so square, as I like to call it, you'll start to open up more. Boom. Let me do it from a side view. So I'm facing this way now. Front, back. I like to open up. Okay. I like to get a stretched look. I like to come down on my toe personally, or the ball of my foot. You can come down on your heel. Okay. Or you can come down flat. It's whatever you want. That's the amazing thing about freestyle. The amazing thing about this dance is you get to play with it, and you get to choose however you want to land your foot. You know, it doesn't matter. There's endless. There's so many ways. So open up your hips. You're going to hear people say that to you in the beginning. Don't be so square, and it's going to take you a while to learn to open up your hips, but you will get there. Practice doing that figure 8. Practice doing just a straight line back and forth, micro bouncing. And that will help you travel backwards, because when you are rocking, even in a small space, that's what I meant to say earlier, you are traveling backwards a little bit. See that? See how I'm basically going back? And you can also kick with it. This is a very old school way / original way they would kick. When you get to this point, you're in my head, you're considered you've reached close to, mastery level, because trying to kick while going in a figure 8 is not easy. A little easier when you keep it tighter, okay? But once you can get to the point, I'd say where you can start adding your kicks, where you're T-stepping but you're kicking. Kind of like T-stepping in a straight line. how we practice that in the drill, but adding it to your rock, you're looking good at that point. Your balance will get so good eventually. And if you take a look at some of my previous videos, I'll post a couple to give you guys some examples coming up here. But you want to get that rock so tight and so like fluid and crispy looking that you're just like, you're on another level. And when people notice you, and when they notice like how much work you put into your rock, it's just like, it's just amazing. It feels good, you know? So, let me try it with my hat on. So, also, I'm not using any tricks. I'm not using any other fundamentals right now. Remember, this is a huge part of this dance. A huge chunk of the dance right here is just rocking. The next video, like I said, I'll be adding it with music, because when you add music, like I said, when you're dancing, it's the sensation. You go off the sensation of the music, and you go off the beat, and you ride the wave. And when you ride the wave, you tap into the flow state. And when you tap into the flow state, that is you're in the zone. You're in the vibe. You're doing it, you know? When you don't practice with music, it's good to practice without music, of course, but when you don't practice without music, it's a little harder because you don't have anything to go off of, you know? So make sure you practice with music, okay? So, okay, again, I'm going to do it with my hat. I'm going to rock out with my hat. Just those, I'm going to do the 2 front T-steps with the easy method, okay, where you go like this. Switch, 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 switch. A lot of times people will, brush their hat like this on the switch. You take your hand on the brim of the bill and you swipe it down like that. Sometimes you look down while you swipe it like this, and you look up, you look left and right, and it just gives you this very cool looking look, if you will, okay? You can also have it backwards. There's hat tricks too, that's coming also. That's actually another fundamental. We're not done yet. There's lots to go. I'm going to take it off for a bit because it's hot. What else did I have for you guys? Oh yeah, arms. What do you do with your arms? Okay, so I like to do something called the arm surf. And so how you do that is just, if you're on a surfboard, right? What do you do? Your arms are usually like right here, okay? Or they're like right here. When I'm rocking out, I like to have my arms about mid-level, kind of like bent, to give me stability and balance. And you just have them out like this. I'm going to turn sideways, okay? Okay, so I call that the arm surf when I rock. So it's just like a chill. You can have your arms chill if you want, like hang by your sides. That's like, if you can do this and have a really tight rock like this, and you can, because usually you're using your arms for balance, but I've seen a few shufflers out there where they don't need to use their arms, and their balance is just like incredible, That's also another way you'll look at someone, you'll know that, oh, they've been doing this for a while. When they aren't doing very much, when they aren't using their arms much to like help counterbalance, because that's essentially what you're doing. But there's many different things you can do. You can, like I said, you can do the arm serve. You can have just one arm out, switch, have the other arm out, switch, okay? Okay, I like to pretend like I'm riding the wave, like I said, but on the switch, on the flip, I like to kind of roll my hand. And this is something I learned from some OGs and really experienced Melbourne Shufflers as well. This is a very good trick to do, or a good tip, is on the switch, you you flip, as you switch to the other side, you roll the hand. Okay? Okay? It's a nice transition into the other side. Okay? And as you go left and right, I want you to look the way you're going. I want you to point the way you're going. If you're going right, I want you to look to your right. On the switch, like right here. Right here. Okay? Maybe look at the audience quick in front of you, then look to your left if you're going left, okay? I point because think about when you're driving or you're riding a bike. When you make that turn, where you look is where you're going to go, okay? So if I'm going to my right and I point to my right, it helps me crank more to the right and turn. Okay? Like I literally look down at my finger sometimes, or my hand, and it'll help me crank my body, or my upper half, or my lower half, depending, to the right or to the left, okay? So those are some like really key nuggets that I've learned that I'm passing off to you guys. So try those out and see if it works. Other things that you can do with your arms, there's so much upper body flow, it's limitless, you know? I recommend you practice things like, like tutting, and anything that you can add in while you're rocking, like, maybe like you're tutting, or you're doing like hand signs, or you're like maybe doing like some what's that style called, kind of like French Milky Way, or like maybe industrial like waving the arms and stuff like that. Like tectonic, that's the word I was thinking of. Like, like try to do some different things. Like, try and I'll have an arm up sometimes when I'm pointing at the camera. Sometimes I'll cross them like this, around the head, both arms over and across the head, moving both arms like this, again, like tectonic, or the style is called French Milky Way, kind of like where they go like this, they point, boom, 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 but do that while you're rocking. You can point while you're rocking, both hands like that, okay? Point with one hand, disco point while you rock, okay? Okay? Hands open like this. You can push down while you rock like this. This is a really simple way to get you started, okay? Alright? I recommend this way. I think that's probably the easiest way for beginners, is pumping with both hands. You can pump with one hand. Maybe like you're dribbling a basketball, okay? Okay? There's so many concepts that you can think of. And look at me right now. I'm on a roll. I just keep coming up with ideas right now on the spot. A couple of those things I've never even done, but I just thought of them on the spot, So that's what I mean when I say this dance is limitless. There's so many layers to freestyle. That's why they call it freestyle, because you're not limited to doing a choreograph where you're following specific set of moves and you don't get to think for yourself. It depends if you're doing a routine for an audience, of course, but freestyle is just so amazing. So again, with arms, you can do anything you can think of, okay? Arm serve, let them hang, pushing down with both hands, or think of it like basketballs. You're like dribbling up one or two basketballs like this. You could be going opposite like this, okay? Alright, so that's what I got for arms. There is something called a groove. There is a groove to this. If you notice, if I look kind of groovy, like there is like what they call a chest rock, or like a chest bounce even. So you want to kind of get used to, as you're stepping down, try and pump the chest out a little bit. Okay, let's do it with that routine, with the 2 and then switch. So 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2. Before we weren't really, I was pumping the chest, but I didn't mention it yet. You didn't notice it, but without the chest pump, or the chest rock as I like to call it, you're just going to look like this. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. See how it's very lacking up top? From here up? But when you start adding that bump, or that chest rock, or that, as I like to call it, how to groove with your rock, which that could be another video, but I'm explaining just a little bit of it right now because it is important for you to know. It's going to make you look much more saucier, okay? So, again. Okay? And you might feel yourself do other things. You might feel your shoulders get a little bit involved too, and maybe they might roll back a little bit. You might feel your elbow come up, or you might feel your elbow sometimes pop down like this. Some people have their arms up like this sometimes, almost like the arm serve, and they like to pop their elbow down like this. Okay, see how that looks? Maybe just one. Okay, or sometimes people like to maybe you want to open your hand. This is just random, something I just thought of now, but you know, there's so many things you could do. So start to add that chest bounce, that chest rock in there as well. And it's going to give you a more defined, more like groovier look, okay? Let's see. Again, you know, play with that easy sequence I gave you where it's just 2 in the front, come to the middle, switch to the other side. Okay? Other side. Then when you get comfortable with that certain sequence, I want you to try traveling with it. Try going just left and right with it. Try going in that figure 8. Let me see if I can just go in a straight line. Okay, we're gonna try. So I'm gonna get into it and I'm gonna switch. So you see what I'm doing? Essentially all I'm doing is just doing 2 T-steps, but I'm switching over and I'm taking very wide like T-step strides. So like boom, boom. And you notice on the second one I shoot over to get ready to the other side. I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you use your hands like I taught you guys in the T-step. If you want to point or go a certain way, you shoot out. Okay, you shoot out. So again, boom, 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 boom. And you turn your hips, everything, upper body, boom, boom. Okay? Now, that to me, that is rocking. With just T-steps, without adding any moves, without adding any running man. We're not even to the fun stuff yet, guys. This is just building, we're just building up to it, okay? We're building the foundation right now, okay? Let me switch it up on you. You could do 2 T-steps and do the same thing, but back T-steps, okay? So let me get into it. So, boom, 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 boom. Not used to this one, but you could still do it. Back T-step, switch. Back T-step, switch. Back, 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 back. Okay? A little rusty at that, but I mean, hey, you could do front over, you know, or front open. You could do front over, front over. You could do front You can do front, back, front, back, front, back, front, back, front, back. Okay. I was gonna say front, open like that, but then look what you're not gonna be traveling very much. You could. It's gonna be very tight though, okay? You have to really crank your T-steps. So I'm giving you all these patterns right now I'm just making up in my head, just by doing 2 steps. Okay, so it's endless. There is no limit on T-steps. And again, don't neglect the reverse T-step, I'm telling you right now. Because if you're watching closely, you're watching what my foot is doing, I'm going back or against the grain, against this T-step. Okay, see that? So don't neglect your back T-step. If you're not really good at your back T-step yet and you're only like kind of right here, leaning over still, make sure you practice your T-step. If you have to do it 100 times in one night each way until your leg is sore, well, at your own discretion. Just be careful, but you know, that's what I did in the beginning. I went until until my calves would get sore, and then I'd come back in 2 or 3 days and I'd be like, whoa, like my legs are so much stronger now, you know? And I've never stopped since, so my legs are just, they got it down. The memory is just built in, you know? And there's shufflers that have been doing this even longer than I have, that you should see some of the other shufflers out there, you know? It's incredible. So I think that's enough for you guys to work on right now. Again, I gave you tons of different sequences, as they're called, different Tstep sequences, okay? Once you've got this, whatever shape you want to call it, whatever infinity sign, figure 8, once you've got this down, okay, then we can start adding in more elements of the dance, okay? But I think I pretty much covered everything for now. I will say one more thing. When you're doing the micro bounce drill, this drill can be for the micro bounce, just solely getting it down, and it will train you to go faster left and right, whether you're using the micro bounce or your T-steps are really dramatic, okay? It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter in the sense of you can do this and you're going to be fine. It's going to help you build up your rock no matter what. So don't neglect doing dramatic T-steps and dramatic micro bounces. I want you to try them both and see what works best for you. But what I was going to say is, once you get comfortable with this, I want you to step down. I want you to use your stepping foot and tap down as you do it. Okay, like this. Just in a straight line. Just in a straight line for now. Okay, because it's going to help you gain that balance, and it's going to help you be more confident. Okay? Alright? And you can even try T-stepping, like dramatic. Okay? And see what that does to your style. Okay? That will definitely help you shape up quite a bit. But do that drill, and then when you're comfortable, start putting your foot down more and more, stepping into it. And then try to close the gap a little bit. Try and get a tighter rock. And then go for a wider rock like I was doing earlier. You're going to take much larger T-steps, okay? You see how my foot is like, I don't even need to use my foot. Sometimes I can just go in a figure 8, like as if I'm practicing. Okay? And you'll reach that point too eventually. There's a lot. There's a lot to go over. I think that's it. I think that's all I have. That's all I have in my mind right now. I'll just keep talking and talking. We're about to hit 40 minutes soon, I think. But you know, this is all very, very valuable wisdom and knowledge that I've learned. And looks like I was right. My camera timed out at about 40 minutes. So like I was saying, you know, this is all wisdom and knowledge that I've learned from, you know, I'm going into my 5th year now, and it has just been one heck of a ride being able to bring this dance to the forefront again, because this dance was already at the forefront back in the day in Melbourne. They were already up on stage. They were doing it big over there, you know, in Melbourne and in Sydney and a few other places too, I imagine. But that's all I got in my mind right now. I covered arms, your torso, your T-steps, you know, the sequences and the patterns. There's no set way to rock. You can work with any sequence, you know, you can make it work. I mean, for the most part. As long as you're not tripping over yourself, you know. Try wearing a hat, try wearing a jacket and baggier clothing, see how it makes you look in the mirror. If you don't have a mirror, check on Craigslist or something, or go to, you know, see if you can, you know, buy one offline or go to the store, because you need to see how you look. If you're not watching yourself, you're not going to be able to correct the little awkward or deficiencies. I used to point my finger a lot, and I used to like kind of curl my fingers too. I don't really do that too much anymore, you know, because I always record myself. I always watch my footage back, just like at, you know, high school or junior high. If you were in sports, you would always go back and watch yourself. So, I think that's it. Yeah, I feel like that's a good spot to leave off. I can't really think of anything else right now to add to it without going into start adding in all the moves, okay? But like I said earlier, you need to learn this fundamental first. All right, guys. So like I was saying, I got cut off there. You know, we're gonna get into the fun stuff coming up. Next video is going to be going off to the music with just T-steps, just to show you, you know, that you can just rock out with just T-steps. But, you know, if you want to call this the Melbourne Shuffle or the full dance, like, encompassed, then, yeah, you want to add Running Man, you know, T-step, you know, slides, glides, kicks, spins, hat tricks, everything, you know. But all that will come in time, and we will get you guys on the right track, because it is my mission and goal to bring this dance up in the Western, in the Western civilization, you know, the West, you know, United States, because over in Europe, it's huge. Over in Russia, this dance is huge. Over in Japan, you know, the exception of, you know, a few places have died out, but it is starting to come back, and, you know, that's the goal. We want to bring shuffling back, and we want to get everyone dancing again, and, well, shuffling again, that is. But, all right, I will see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed this, and, yeah, keep shuffling, keep practicing, and you will be gliding across that floor in no time. Peace.